Good morning, students. Now I'll explain you the next part of the chapter, the thief's story. In previous story, we came to know that the Hari was a thief and he started living with Anil. Then he decided to take Anil's money. So we'll see what happens afterwards. Anil was asleep. A beam of moonlight stepped over the balcony and fell on the bed. So it was the night time and Anil was sleeping and the beam of moonlight, and it was a moonlight outside, and it stepped over the balcony. The moonlight was falling on the balcony and as well as on the bed. I sat up on the floor considering the situation, and the narrator and the thief, he sat on the floor and he was thinking about the plan. What would he do after taking all the no money? If I took the money, I could catch the 10:30 express to Lucknow. So the thief was planning. What was he planning? He thought that if he took the money, I could catch the 10:30 express to Lucknow. Then he could catch the train to Lucknow, sleeping out of the blanket. He quietly moved from the blanket. I crept up to the bed and he crept. Crept is the past tense of creep, and he, without making any sound, he slightly moves towards the bed. Anil was sleeping peacefully, where Anil was sleeping peacefully. His face was clear and unlined, and Anil's face was clear and unlined. There were no tension on his face, and he was sleeping peacefully. Even I had more marks on my face, though mine were mostly scars. Then he was comparing his face with Anil's face. He was saying that on his face there were more lines as well as scars. My hand slid under the mattresses. Then the thief said he slid his hand under the mattress, where the Anil put his money. Searching for the notes when I found them, and he was searching the notes when he found them. I drew them out without sound, and when he got the money, got the notes, and he drew them out without making any kind of sound. Anil sighed in his sleep and turned on his side. While he was taking out the money, Anil took a deep breath and while sleeping and turned his face towards thief. I was startled and quickly crawled out of the room. And the narrator, the thief, he shocked and quickly he crawled. Crawl means he walked, he ran on his knee out of the room. When I was on the road, I began to run. And when the narrator was on the road and he started running, I had the notes at my waist. And where did he keep the notes? He kept the notes on his waist, held there by the string of my pajamas. And he kept the notes under the pajamas, inside the pajama, and tied it with the help of the strings. I slowed down to a walk and counted the notes. Then afterwards, as he was running, he slowed down and he counted the notes. 600 rupees in 50s, and it was 600 rupees, and all the notes were of 50 rupees. I could live like an old rich Arab for a week or two. And he thought that he could live like an old rich Arabian merchant for a week or two. Means he could spend a luxurious life for 2 or 1 week. When I reached the station, I did not stop at the ticket office. I had never bought a ticket in my life, but I dashed straight to the platform. Dashed means move quickly. So when the thief reached the station, he didn't stop at the ticket office and he directly went to the platform because he was not in a habit of buying the tickets for traveling. He always used to travel without ticket. The Lucknow Express was just moving out. The moment he reached the platform, the Lucknow Express was about to move. The train had still to pick up speed, but the train was not in the good speed. It had to take the speed, and I should have been able to jump into one of the carriages. The speed is that much sufficient so the narrator could have been able to jump into one of the carriages, but I hesitated. But the narrator hesitated for some reason I can't explain. But the narrator hesitated to get into one of the carriages. But what was the reason of his hesitation, he himself was not aware. And I lost the chance to get away, and he lost the chance to escape. He lost the chance to get into the train. When the train had gone, I found myself standing alone on the deserted platform. When the train left the platform, he found himself standing alone on the deserted platform. Deserted means lonely, empty. I had no idea where to spend the night, and the train had left, and he had no idea where to go to spend his night. I had no friends, believing that friends were more trouble than help. As he had no friends, he believes that friends were more trouble rather than helpful. And I did not want to make anyone curious by staying at one of the small hotels near the station. And he didn't want to stay in a small hotels nearby the station to become a part of attraction. The only person I knew really well was the man I had robbed. He knew only one person, Anil, to whom he had robbed. Leaving the station, I walked slowly through the bazaar. He left the station, he was leaving the station, and he walked off slowly through the bazaar. In my short career as a thief, I had made a study of men's faces when they had lost their goods. So while he was going through the bazaar, he was thinking about his career, how in his career he met a different type of people, and what was the different type of reaction when he steal the things from the different people. I had made a study of men's faces when they had lost their goods. So he was saying that he could recognize the man's face when they lost their good or wealth. The greedy man showed fear. The greedy man, they showed fear on their faces. The rich man showed anger, and there were anger on the rich man's face when they lost their goods. The poor man showed acceptance. The poor man has a acceptance on his face, but I knew that Anil's face. Then his comparison all these faces to the Anil's face. But he knew that Anil's face when he discovered the theft. He was saying when Anil came to know about the theft, would show only a touch of sadness. There would be only a touch of sadness, not for the loss of money, but for the loss of trust. The narrator was saying when the Anil came to know about the theft, he became sad, but that sadness was not because of he lost the money. That sadness was just he lost the trust which he did on the Hari Singh, the thief. I found myself in Medan and sat down on a bench. He found himself in a ground and he sat down on a bench. The night was chilly. It was early November, and it was the month of early winter, November. It was cold, and a light drizzle added to my discomfort as it was cold and it started light drizzle. Drizzle means small drops of rain. Soon it was raining quite heavily, as well as soon as the drizzle turned into the heavy rain. My shirt and pajamas stuck to my skin. Due to the heavy rain, his clothes were stuck on his skin. And the cold wind blew rain across my face, and he was feeling very cold. I went back to the bazaar and sat down in the shelter of the clock tower. So the thief he went back to the bazaar and sat down under the clock tower to take the shelter because it was raining. The clock showed midnight, and he see the clock and it was midnight. I felt for the notes. Then he was thinking about the notes. He thought about the notes. They were damp from the rain, and notes were damp due to rain. Anil's money. In the morning, he would probably have given me 2 or 3 rupees to go to the cinema. Then I was thinking, this was while looking at the Anil's money. Then he was thinking in the morning, he would probably have given him 2 or 3 rupees to go to the cinema. But now I had it all. But now he was saying that he had all his money. I couldn't cook his meals, run to the bazaar, and learn to write whole sentences anymore. And he was thinking now he could not cook meal for Anil, and he could not go to the grocery shop to buy the daily needs. and he could not learn even the sentences as Anil promised him to make him educated man. I had forgotten about them in the excitement of the theft. Now the thief was thinking I had forgotten that he want to learn and write just because in the excitement of the theft. Whole sentences. I knew could one day bring me more than a few hundred rupees. Whole sentences. He was saying he knew that whole sentences could one day bring him more than 500 rupees. Being an educated man, he can earn more than these 100 rupees. It was a simple matter to steal, and sometimes just a simple to be caught, but to be a really big man. Then he said, it was simple matter to steal, and sometimes just as simple to be caught. He's saying stealing is as simple as, and being caught is also just a very simple. But to be really big man, a clever, respected man was something else. But a really big man, a clever and respected man is something different. I should go back to Anil. I told myself, if only to learn to read and write. Then he talked himself, then he told himself that he should go back to Anil if only he wants to read and write. I hurried back to the room feeling very nervous. So the thief decided he would go back to the Anil's house and again he'll started learning. I hurried back to the room feeling very nervous. So he hurried back to the room and he was very nervous. For it is much easier to steal something than to return it undirected. Because it was very easy to steal something rather than return it without noticed. I opened the door quietly and then stood in the doorway. He quietly opened the door and stood nearby the doorway. In a clouded moonlight, still it was the night time and it was clouded moonlight. Anil was still asleep and Anil was still sleeping. I crept to the edge of the bed. He moved towards the bed and my hand came up with the notes. I felt his breath on my hand and he kept the money under the mattress and he felt Anil's breath on his hand. I remained still for a minute, then my hand found the edge of the mattress. It was a night time, he can't see the edge of the mattress, so with the help of hand, he was finding the edge of the mattress and slipped it with the notes. When he found the edge of the mattresses, he put the money under the mattress. I awoke late next morning. So next morning, the thief woke up late to find that Anil had already made the tea. And when he woke up late in the morning, then he found that the Anil already made a tea for him. He stretched out his hand towards me. And he put forward his hand towards Hari Singh, thief. There was a 50 rupees note between his fingers, and there were a note of 50 rupees between his finger. My heart sank. I thought I had been discovered. So the thief thought that Anil caught him and he found him he had stolen his rupees. I made some money yesterday, he explained. Then the Anil said, yesterday he had earned some money. Now you will be paid regularly. Now he would be paid regularly. My spirits rose, but when I took the note, I saw it was still wet from the night's rain. He was happy after listening all this, what the Anil said he would be paid regularly. But when I took the note, I saw it was wet from the night's rain. When he took the note, he observed that the note was still wet due to the night's rain. Today we'll start writing sentences, he said. Then Anil said today he would teach him to write sentences. He knew, but neither his lips nor his eyes showed anything. He knew everything, all the incident what happened last night, but neither his lips nor his eyes showed anything, but he didn't say anything to Hari. I smiled at Anil in my most appealing way. Then the Hari Singh, the thief, he smiled at Anil in his most appealing way, in most pleasing way, and the smile came it by itself without any effort. So this time there was no any curiosity, there was no any planning in his thief's mind, and the smile was genuine and it came itself on his face without any effort. So, student, this was a story of a two boy. One is Anil, one is Hari, and in the entire story, you see how the thief has changed his life after staying with Anil. Earlier, he was a thief. Now he had become a good person. He had changed his life. He started to learn and write.